Yo, what's good, YouTube? What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back, welcoming you to Answering the Bell with Stormybman for this Sunday, November 14th, 2021, and this is our Sunday morning call-in show. You must please forgive Stormybman. I've been out a couple of weeks due to some health issues, but I'm feeling a bit better, and I'm back with the call-in show. Our call-in show has been relatively successful, and for those who are not always tuning in to Stormy content, just let it be known that I hadn't been on the airwaves due to dealing with a pinched nerve, man, and that is something I wouldn't wish on anybody, because it means that I can't sit or stand or even lay in a comfortable position for, more than a moment at a time. So that's why you hadn't seen me, but I'm back feeling a little bit better, and I'm here to provide the content that those of you who have followed me on a regular basis have come to expect from me. So welcome everyone, and we are ready to talk some boxing and have a tremendous show this morning, and we're gonna talk about some things. We can even talk about some things, if you want, that transpired while I was not on the airwaves. But we can talk about the fight cards that took place yesterday and yesterday evening, and whatever else may be on your mind. But I'm glad to be here, and we can roll it out with a roll call for those of us who are out here early with us in the chat. And I want to say salute to KQKC and Knockout Boxing 86 TV with the show that they do in the morning. I was catching their show this morning. They had some great conversation going on over there, and I understand that KQKC couldn't do the fight calls that he normally does due to some issues that he was having to deal with, and Loco Sports filled in for him and did an admirable job. And I appreciate everybody out here in the community that works together, and that we can pass the baton off to one another and how we feature our content. So salute to the mighty LDBC and how we do things out here. It's really a great network to be a part of. We're going to start off this morning with a little bit of a roll call. We got my man OG Eric in St. Louis, who was out there before I went live, along with King _ Junior, both of them. Eric says, good morning, family. Good morning to you. And King Junior says, salute Stormy B-Man and chat. Chi-Town Finest out there as well, saying blessings and love, family. Blessings and love to you, brother. Right back at you. Jose Diaz is out there saying salute Stormy B-Man and chat. Dwayne Jones, bless up from Atlanta. Yes, sir. The ATL is in the building. And channel member Jive is out there saying salute to Stormy B-Man. And Jared 011 Green says salute Stormy B-Man. And I appreciate you guys, coming on in this morning and, smashing that like button for me, because, that tweak those algorithms, and make it popular so that it's always in the upper portion of the channel analytics out there. When you guys go to search for something, the search engine brings it right up. And for those of you that say you don't get notifications, I hadn't put this week's outings on the community page because I'm just kind of getting back into my rhythm of things. But I usually post what's going to be airing on my channel on my community page, because for some reason, when you do that, notifications get to your members, your subscribers, and everything a little bit quicker than YouTube just sending out those reminders for the shows. So any other content creators that's out there listening, that's just a tidbit for you if you weren't aware of that already. So we got Derek Bailey just popping in saying salute to Stormy B-Man. Salute to you, Derek. Good to see you guys out there this morning. How did you guys like those fight cards from yesterday? We had 2 DAZN cards sandwiched around a Showtime card. And there was some good boxing yesterday. I'm telling you, it's like for those of you who haven't invested in DAZN, let me just say this. If you claim to be a fan of the sport of boxing, DAZN is fruitful because even though they don't always make the matches that you might like to see, they do provide boxing content and will fill your belly with fights. And yesterday, if you didn't get a chance to see it, there was a card in particular, the Galahad versus Martinez. That was something to be seen. Very exciting there. And also, you know, something that you just got to say, hey, man, you don't know what's going to happen until it happens. You just got to be there when it does, because you want to say, hey, man, I remember I was watching such and such, and boom, something's happened. And it's like, there you go. You know what I mean? So it's better to kind of be aware by being near and there than to not be a part of it at all. Because when you're a part of it, it makes for a more gratifying experience. And, you know, that's the way I look at it. And I'm telling you, you're missing out if you don't want to take part in things like that. So glad to be here again. Like I said, you know, another thing about that card on DAZN is that we got a chance to see someone do something that, you know, falls right in line with the accomplishment of current welterweights. You got Terrence Bud Crawford, who went over to the UK, and he not the UK, I think Terrence was somewhere else, but he did go overseas to win his first title. And then we saw Earl Spence Jr. go over there to the UK to capture his first welterweight title from Kell Brook. But last night, it was night for them, but early afternoon for us. We had the beautiful young fighter, Alicia Baumgartner. She went over to the UK, and she brought back the IBO and the WBC super featherweight titles when she took on Terry Harper, who had been out for about a year or so with an injury to her hand, but she was a unified champion in that division for women's boxing. And our girl from Detroit, man, she brought it home, man, and she did it in spectacular fashion. Now, mind you, I had not seen this young lady fight before. I heard her name, you know, and I know that Michaela Meyer and she had been going back and forth on social media and everything like this. But this woman here put on a performance that was worthy of someone who you want to respect as going out and snatching that opportunity out of the hands of, you know, someone, you know, that's a champion or whatever. So hats off to Alicia Baumgartner and her performance, man. It was spectacular. You know, she came out and she had Terry Harper on her heels, basically, because she couldn't understand what my brother Kurt Sugar, and shout out to Kurt Sugar, as our thoughts are still with him as he's on the mend trying to get himself together with his health. He likes to call it rhythm and perpetual motion, huh? And that's what Harper wasn't ready for. And when I saw, and mind you, this was my first time seeing Miss Baumgartner. And listen, when I saw her come out there and she was moving her shoulders and she dropped that left and was snapping it in Terry's face, I'm like, oh boy, here we go. We got another one. Because Clarissa, I have said this about certain female boxers. They fight like men. And that's not disrespectful. That's not said with disrespect. But what it means is that men have been boxing for over a century, right? But when you see the women who have honed their technique and they bring up the skill set that is required to be most effective, we've seen it like with Clarissa Shields. There have been a number of other, Franchon Cruz Discern. This young lady came out, and if you've seen our brother Tay Jones fight, it's like she was like watching tapes of Tay, you know. She was moving, drop her hand and snap that jab, and it really befuddled Terry Harper. And she won all of the rounds up until the knockout. The knockout was, I got my notes right here. I'm trying to get my information correct. The knockout occurred in the 5th round. However, the prior first 4 rounds, she was totally outclassing the woman. And it makes you kind of wonder, like, how did that lady get the titles that she had, but had not faced someone like this? You understand? So let's just say, with all due respect, salute to Alicia. I want to see her again. And just know that the competitiveness of women's boxing is being elevated on a regular basis. As long as you guys can tune in to these women and watch these fights, just like we saw a couple of weeks back, Michaela Meyer and her fight, a barn burner of a fight, huh? So it's like we are seeing right before our eyes the growth of women's boxing, and the day of a woman making $1 million for competing in that ring, although it was scoffed at by certain boxing scribes whose names I won't mention here, the wheel is turning, huh? So it's up to us to continue to give that support and show up and show out for the ladies of boxing. And boy, are they starting to really put on the show. And salute to this woman for her accomplishments, because in her first world title challenge, she comes out and she becomes a unified champion by knockout. And if you didn't see her knockout, it was the most beautiful of 1-2s that you could watch with a professional fighter. Terry was coming in stiff as a board, straight up, no head movement, and she caught her with a 1-2 that Lennox Lewis would be proud of, because she hit the woman right on the chin. And what was even more great was she didn't knock her down. She hit her so precisely on the chin that she was out on her feet. When the shot landed, she went stiff. Her leg got stiff on her and she turned sideways, but she was unconscious on her feet, basically. And when Alicia went to follow up with the other punches, the referee had to jump in to catch Terry Harper, because she would have either fallen face first or on the side of her head or on the back of her head, because she was anesthetized on her feet. Great stuff, man. And salute to the referee for being aware and being close by, because she saved Terry Harper from further harm and damage. So he caught her, and I think Alicia was unleashing another shot that kind of hit the ref too. It's like in his shoulder or back or somewhere area like that, not in the head, but great stuff, man. And also, how great is it to see that Ed Hearn and Matchroom lose 2 of their champions on one card. My little sinister mad scientist laugh. I loved it, man. Hearn almost ripped his own toupee off because, yeah, that's a hairpiece on top of his head. If you guys didn't know that, man, it'd take a woman to tell you about that, huh? Because I had a woman tell me about it. She's like, why he got that rat on his head? Yeah, it's like, hey, it don't match the rest of his hair. And you see how it's always perfectly like, he used a lot of mousse on it or something, so it just sit there. It's a bird nest on the top of his head, man. The dude is bald. Alopecious, man. That's right. Hairline Creations. Go check out, some of these brothers out here on the network. They can tell you how to fix all that up, Ed Hearn. But yeah, salute to Alicia Baumgarten for what she did, man. It was some exciting stuff and the stuff of champions, huh? Loved it, man. Just totally loved it. So, yeah, and we started off talking about that, man. That's some great stuff, great stuff. We got a few more people that fell into the building. Let's see here. We're going to backtrack a moment. We got Mark Booker out there. He says, salute my shy brother. He said, much peace, blessings, and love. Right back at you, Mark Booker. Mark Stearns is out there saying, great morning to the teacher, Stormybman, and family. Thank you for that, brother. Well wishes to you as well. K-Rod, a.k.a. the phone man, is out there. He says, salute, Stormy. Salute to you. Jive is saying, I feel you, Stormy. I've been dealing with chronic rhomboid muscle pain. Yeah, man, it's not fun at all, man. Not fun at all. He says, Harper got hit so hard, she didn't know what to do. No, I disagree with that, Jive, because it wasn't that she was hit so hard. She was hit clean and what old fighters, trainers, and everything refer to as on the button. Go back and look at that fight. She hit her so clean on the chin that it almost looked like the punch didn't land because it was just precise. When you hit a person on what they used to refer to as the sweet spot, the button, that's what happens. That's the type of result you get. They either go down or they short circuit. In the case of Terry Harper, she short circuited like a son of a gun. It was like someone tased her, huh? And that's what that shot does, because there are nerves in your chin area that it's between your jawbone back here under your ear and right here where you see my hairline mark on my goatee here. If you catch someone in that area clean, it doesn't have to be the hardest of punches. That's why the old fighters used to place their punches pinpoint with accuracy, because when you saw knockdowns or knockouts, it was from that type of precision that you get that result. And that's what she got. I would beg to ask Ms. Baumgartner, is that the hardest punch you ever threw? And she's more likely to say no. She's probably hit people harder, upside the head, in the body and everything else. But when you catch them in the right spot, it's just like getting hit precise in the liver shot. It's going to affect you. Most people, it drops. Most people, it stops. Some people are able to hold on to that. It's like Madonna when he fought Amir Khan. Amir Khan threw that combination and let that last shot hit Madonna in the liver, and he went down, legs curled up and everything. But miraculously, he got up from it. You don't always see guys get up from it. I guess there's a certain area where you could place that shot and they won't get up, but it affects everybody the same. It make you feel like you got to go to the toilet on yourself. It's really something. So I would bet that that's not even the hardest shot she ever threw. It was just the best, most clean shot that she ever thrown. And that's what's great about that. Okay. And we got, let's see, getting back to the chat here. Empty Hearted says, if you're having pain issues, look into TT replacement. It has psychological benefits that aren't, okay, I couldn't understand that. Empty Hearted said, say fully recognized, okay. Jose Diaz said, well, very well said. Empty Hearted says, I have an endocrine condition, so none of my glands fire, and a genetic abnormalite called, I can't read these words, man. I don't know, that causes muscle tearing, bruising, etc. But I always was reluctant to get on T for years, but once I did, okay. Drew Titan, LLC is out there. He says, Sensei, what's good with you, Drew? The Druth in the building, man. Jose Diaz says, yes, sir. And Empty Hearted is following up with muscle tearing, stop pain, reduce more energy. And you know what, Empty Hearted? I have my email in the description box. Why don't you email me the information that you're trying to say, and then I could take time and look over it and look into it. And that way we don't have to, keep going with that in the chat. Please use the option of the email. It's running down there in the description box. And I will definitely take a look into what you're trying to share with me. Okay? Appreciate you, bro. Derek Bailey is laughing. T. Roberts is out there, says, salute, fam. Salute to you. And let's see. Everybody else is greeting. Mansa Musa Lifestyle is out there saying, salute, Sensei. 100. Salute to you. And yeah, Jose Diaz, he says, she was out on her feet. Yes, she was. Gregory X is out there saying, greetings, brothers and sisters. I guess you're still over there in Africa there, Gregory X. Good to see you this morning. Appreciate you. Crusted Legend is in the building, says, as Stormy V-Man, salute. Salute to you. And Devin Blocker is out there, channel member, says, Stormy B-Man, salute. Salute to you. JJ is out there saying, salute, Sensei. Appreciate you. And Jose Diaz says she caught her perfect. Absolutely. When people get hit in that sweet spot, man, it's over. There ain't nothing you could do because those are the nerves that have been tapped. You know how the old reflex action used to be when you be in the doctor's office and they take that little mallet and they tap your knee and your knee kicks out like your knee kicks out like do like that do. They tap you on that certain spot in the knee reflex action. That's when you get hit with that. It shuts off the circuits for whatever reason. My man Scrapbook Boxing, salute to Scrapbook out there wherever he is right now. He can tell you about getting hit in those spots because he studied that stuff and he can tell you what the terminology is and everything. But we dumb down folks, we just say the sweet spot or the button. It's like, he got hit on the button, and that's where you got the desired effect. You know what I mean? So, but there are scientific terminologies out there for that, and Scrapbook Boxing knows all about that. We got the brother Kano Loco Sports out there. He's saying salute to you, Kano, and great job on your call last night. DP Rocker is out there saying salute, Sensei. Salute to you. Jeffrey Lopez, Stormy B-Man, salute. Let's see who else we got out there. Gregory X says, I'll visit stateside in May for a month or two once it's warm enough. Okay. I hear you, man, because the weather is definitely changing up, huh? Yes, sir. So, that's pretty much, I caught up with who's in the building, except for King P says, watch everyone in 126 all of a sudden now try to reunify with Kiko Martinez. Listen, Kiko Martinez is an experienced former champion. He's in the elder age of boxing, but it was his experience that pulled him through that fight yesterday, because Galahad was winning the fight. He was winning. And he got caught with something because of his mistakes. But an experienced fighter will themselves to victory in certain instances. And that's what you saw then. He willed himself to that point of he just hung in there. Because if you notice, before he got hit, meaning before Galahad got hit, I think in round 3, Martinez started throwing that right hand. It was kind of coming close, hadn't caught him flush. A couple landed, but they didn't land hard. They were like glancing shots. But he didn't stop, because he realized once I can get my hands on the guy, then something can happen. And all it took was that knockdown that occurred, I think, in the 4th round. He caught him and put him down near the end of the round, and in the bell rang, he went back to his corner, but they could not refreshen him. So when he came out for the, what was that, the 6th round? Within the first 20 seconds of the round, Martinez was right on top of him. Boom! With that right hand, caught him. The fight was over because he took advantage of the opportunities. Now, I'll liken that to something that took place in the fight in the second broadcast of the Zone main event with Gabe Rosado and Jaime Munguia. Rosado caught Munguia with a shot like that in the middle of the rounds. He smothered his work and didn't follow up properly. And then he caught him another time. It was near the end of a round and the bell rang. You see, you have to be able to be ready to follow up your work. You can't rely upon when you land the shot, that being the end, although sometimes it can be. But you have to be prepared, because understand this, the proper thing for a fighter to do when you hurt him is to reach out, tie you up, and stop your momentum. He ain't supposed to just lay back and let you continue to follow up and knock him out or put him down. So I think Gabe looked too much for the single shot that he hit Beck the Bully with. It was an amazing shot, but you have to be able to give yourself proper distance when you've hurt a guy so he can't tie you up. Follow up to the body, which is, it's like the keys to victory. If you hurt the guy, go to the body. Go to the body. Next. It's easy to want, oh, I nailed him, let me hit him with that shot again. No, go to the body. It's precision work. It's a science, because when the head is concussed, the first thing to do is to try to protect the head for the next time, right? But if you're getting at the body, the hands will come down for the rest of the follow-up. This is so hard to get fighters to understand this. I don't care who they are. One of the most important factors is to let them fall. It's like you get a guy hurt, he's near the ropes. If you get too close, he's going to reach out and grab you and tie you up. Huh? So you stay a certain distance and you work them down and up, down and up, down and up. But that's what you're supposed to do. Absolutely. Jose Diaz. Chop the tree down. Chop the tree down. You don't go to the top of the tree and start trying to chop. You go to the base. Because the foundation, you break that up and whatever stands on it falls. Huh? Exactly. And that's what's important, that we learn these things. Because that's what's going to keep you effective if you're the hunter. And if you're the hunted, it's going to put you in crisis. So understand that. You know, it's simple boxing, man. It's simple boxing. Let's see who else we got out there. Some more people saying some stuff. Mark Wunderlich is with us. He says, touch that like button, everyone. Hashtag LDBC. Hashtag Bomb Squad. Hashtag Team Petty. Big homie Cooper's in the building and says, salute seafood. That's my juice right there. He says, back smack the like button. Class is in session, so pay attention. That's my man, big homie Coop, man. Let's see. Silvestrial's out there says, Stormy, what's good? What's good with you, man? You know? But that, you know, again, Galahad, I've seen him fight before. And I think that he made mental mistakes out there. Yes, he fights with his head up, but he was fighting with a shorter guy. A shorter guy can always look to go up to that chin, you know, if the chin is up in the air, because you won't see their punches coming. And he did not see that first big right hand that put him down. He didn't even see it, man. That's why he kept getting hit with it. If it's a taller guy, you can kind of see things differently. That's one thing about boxing. It is a science. And if you're not understanding the aspects of height, reach, close proximity, and all of that, again, those are the things you work on, that stuff in the gym, so that when you get out there in the live action, it don't hurt you. It don't come back to haunt you. Huh? Boli is out there. What's good with you, Boli? Says he's listening, got his ear to the microphone or the speaker, so to speak. Yeah. But yeah, man, that's what that's all about. Great fights, though, on the cards yesterday. The Benavidez, Kyron Davis fight was pretty good also. I didn't like the fact that, they had to stop the fight. But they stopped it. It was in the best interest of Kyron. But he was trying, man. He was actually in the corner telling his people like 3 rounds before they stopped it. He was like, no, don't stop this fight. Don't stop it. He was trying. And see, I always tune in for a fighter like that because he's given what he has. Now, what I wish from now on, because he has something, I wish that they put him in with guys who are either at his level, because Benavidez was a step up for him, and allow him some confidence by beating some guys who might not be at his level, so that you can rebuild that confidence in him, and he can go out there and start defeating people. Huh? Because if you repair what's wrong there, he can be successful going forward in the future. But you got to do it the right way. You just can't keep putting him in tough. That's one of the things they did wrong with Meldrick Taylor. Meldrick Taylor was a young fighter that was so talented. He was ahead of himself in his talent and his years. And instead of using that youthfulness to develop, they started putting him in very tough. And though he was winning against those tough step-up matches, damage was being done to him at an earlier stage. Huh? And when he got in there with Julio Cesar Chavez, although it was a great fight, it might have been a better fight one more year of boxing experience for Mel. But it was still one of the greatest fights in the history of boxing. But he took so much punishment from Chavez in that fight that he was never the same after that fight. And they continued to put him in tough after that fight. Meldrick Taylor was a great young fighter. And his career was really, it was compromised after those decisions. Let's see, what else we got out here? Silvestro says, boxers need to go across the pond and start recruiting U.S. trainers. Hey, man, that's not going to happen, and I'll tell you why. They have, for generations, the opportunity to do something like that, but it's a us against them mentality. So we shouldn't break our necks to go over there and train them. Huh? Allow them to learn how to get better on their own. And if they don't, we just continue to smash them. That's all. Huh? Why leave your roots when you're doing well to go somewhere to make someone else better so that they can take what you got? That's not how it works, man. And you look at our politicians and everything, the people who kind of run things in the world. You think they give you the keys and say, here, you try it, so you can put them out of business? No way, Jose. They're not going to do that. So, but hey, man, let's see if my alert box is working. You guys show Stormy a little bit of love. Send a super chat or a cash app or something like that. Support the channel, support the grind. I just told you that health was holding me back and everything, and Stormy would like a little bit of love too. You understand? You guys can afford a $1 or $2 or something. Refresh my super chat, man, and let me know that my alert box is working and that your bank account is working. Huh? Let's try that. Sylvester says, UK boxers are dropping like flies, shaking my head. Hey, that's all right. You know what I mean? Get a broom and dustpan. That's what you do. Derek Bailey's out there. He says, how would you rate Benavidez's power, Stormy? I rate his power as above average But what's interesting is his strength, because I heard someone say in another chat, I think it was last night or something, they say that Benavidez is like a heavyweight fighting at super middleweight. That might be true. So he's a very strong guy. But even more so, because of his size at that weight division, he has tremendous hand speed. His hand speed is like a super welterweight's. He's got some tremendous hands. And he's heavy-handed, but he doesn't have power. If he had power, Chiron would have been knocked out. But he was being beaten up because the guy is heavy-handed. And someone also called him Jason Voorhees in my post-fight show last night. And you know something? That's kind of like what he's like. He just keeps coming like a wave. You shoot him, and he takes the bullet and keeps stepping. You get a shotgun, he takes the shotgun and keeps stepping. You get a sword, you stab him, and he keeps coming. He's a monster out there. And when you see that kind of fighter, you have to be a versatile fighter to be able to defeat him. Not only do you need to be a guy who can move around, dance on your toes, and pop shots and set down on good shots, you got to have some good defense so you can stop a lot of the offense that he has. You have to have a good chin. You have to have stamina, endurance. You have to be a multifaceted, versatile fighter, what I like to call a five-dimensional fighter. And if you aren't that, you're not going to be successful. Not at all. So that's one of the things I want to acknowledge right there. Okay, we got a super chat out there from Dark Kent 718. Dark Kent is saying, let's see here, let me read it here. It's on the screen. Dark Kent is saying, salute Sensei and chat. Salute to you. Appreciate your super chat donation, man. We really do. And Boxing King Archives is out there saying, salute Stormy B, man. Munguia versus Charlo. Your thoughts? Hey, that's interesting, man. Interesting to ask about that, because we saw Charlo's performance against Montiel. He had some problems there. Jaime Munguia has what I like to call, he has a busyness about himself. You know, how his volume of punches, his output, he could drive you, He could drive you. Salute to Gregory Wyatt in that Cash App, man. I appreciate you, Gregory. He says, for informative content. I appreciate that. You guys are now showing that kind of donation and respect for the channel. I appreciate you guys, all of you, man. Yeah, I think that Charlo would have trouble keeping up. See, Rosado had experience that kept him in the fight, but I don't know how Charlo would respond from the pressure, because Jaime Munguia can take a shot. He proved that last night. And if you could take a shot, you can always be in the fight as long as you're putting something out. And Munguia can put it out. Did you see at certain points of the fight, when he started letting his hands go, what's his name? Gabe Rosado was looking to do something offensive, but then he had to keep his hands home because the guy was working him up and down, up and down. And that's the type of activity that you like to see. You want to see a fighter be able to put something out there like that, but you also want to see him be, I don't know what you call it. It's like be aware, the defensive awareness and everything like that. It makes a difference, And that's one of those things. That's one of those things. So again, it does make a difference, man. Let's see there. That's just a test there, people. I'm trying to see why the chime didn't work when the brothers sent their super chats. So that's what I'm doing right now at the moment, just looking up that to see why that didn't work. So yeah. So it's supposed to work. Oh well, Don't have time to worry about it while I'm on the air. But I'm going to go ahead and open up the call lines for those who want to call in to the call-in show. We've been rapping a bit, so we're going to go ahead and open up the phone lines. If anybody wants to call in and have their just acknowledging this cash out from the brother Gregory Wyatt, responding to him. Yes, sir. Appreciate that. You know, with all this technology, a person has to go back and forth and look at stuff, read stuff. You know, some of you guys can do that stuff pretty quickly, but Stormy is kind of slow with it, huh? But we'll get the job done. Sylvester is saying Jaime is improving. K-Rod saying Jaime should have fought Andrade instead of Rosado. No, he's doing it the right way. He's doing it the right way. Gabe Rosado is the best fighter he's ever fought. Okay? Period. Now, if he fights someone like Andrade or whatever, that's going to be great, because you know why? He's taking the necessary steps. He has fights under his belt against guys he could beat. Now he's beat someone that he kind of went in maybe 50-50 or like, 60-40 or something like that. But I can see that he can give a lot of guys trouble. And you may have a good punch, but if you have a good punch, you got to be in there with the volume that he puts out. And sometimes when guys have volume punching, it makes you keep your hands at home because you're trying to defend yourself and protect yourself. He'll win rounds like that. And his punches are accurate as well. So think about it in that way. Sylvester is agreeing. He says he's being moved correctly, not rushed or overhyped. Yeah. And that time that he took off, you can see the improvement of what he was doing prior to that time and now. Eric Morales, I spoke about this last night with Reggie and I on the post-fight show. Eric Morales is doing a wonderful job with this kid. Doing a wonderful job. So I like to see him again, He doesn't have to be in the toughest fight as he was in with Rosado in his next fight. But the next fight after that should be someone like, Andrade or, Sermenta or whatever. He can get in there with those guys. He'll beat them up. Start fighting some of the guys that, Charlo has beaten already or Andre has beaten. So he'll close the gap and you can see his performance against those guys and how the original guys performed. And you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, the progression. A year from now, people are going to want to run away from Jaime Munguia, according to the progress that I'm seeing. There's still a style that can beat him, but some of these men aren't as dedicated as they need to be to defeat a fighter such as himself. And that's their fault, not his. So, but yeah, we got the lines are open, man. You guys don't want to call in. You just want to sit up there and look at my handsome face, where you can't have me because I'm married and I'm happily over here and I ain't funny like that. So you can either call or, turn the screen off or something like that because Stormy going to be here. K-Rod says he tried calling. It didn't work. Oh, you did? You probably tried earlier, K-Rod. Try it right now. You can't call before I open the lines. That's one of the things. Because the line has to be open first. And I know K-Rod, a.k.a. the phone man, he probably had it on speed dial. So try it now, K-Rod. Yo, welcome to the call-in show. Let's see. Welcome to the call-in show. This is Stormy B, man. Who's calling?
Jared 11 Green, Sensei. How you doing?
Hey, man, what's good with you, Jared? How you doing, man?
I'm blessed. Can't complain, man. Enjoying my weekend.
Yes, sir. Welcome to the show, bro.
Welcome back, man. I'm thank you. I'm glad I'm back. And I wish you a speedy recovery, man.
Yeah, thank you for that, bro. It's like this pinched nerve has been a son of a gun, man. It's like, I'm sitting here now doing this. I could not do this because it's like I had to be kind of trying to lay down but I thank God that I'm able to be here today. I'm not complaining. I'm just stating that it's been rough, man. It's been very rough. Anybody ever had a pinched nerve, and it's up here in my shoulder area too, it's like, man, that's tough. Can't sleep well. I was getting like maybe an hour of sleep a night, man, and that's nothing. That's nothing. So I'm glad to be where I am.
Yeah, man, I'm glad that you're back, and I also wanted to tell you, man, you've been spot on for these couple of past fights. Basically, you called the Caleb Plant fight. I don't know if you remember us having a conversation about how Caleb Plant can beat Canelo if he focused. And I'll be damned. Was it the 11th round Sensei he got caught?
Yeah.
He lost focus.
Yeah, it's a 12-round fight. You know what I mean? If it ends inside the distance, everything you was doing well or good or whatever, and you end up on the losing end inside the distance, that's on you. It's the other fighter that is in a position to make an adjustment and do something to you before the final bell. See, people talk about that a lot in boxing, but it's just like a football game. You know how teams can trade scores, right?
Yeah.
And then somebody kicks a field goal and wins the game. Well, it was like, man, they almost did. No, you didn't. It wasn't over until that ball went through the upright and the clock ticked 0, and now they won. So boxing is the same thing. I don't care how good you look. I don't care how many rounds. Big John Tate was the WBA heavyweight champion of the world. And in a 15-round fight, he was beating the crap out of Mike Hercules Weaver. Beating the crap out of him. And then, like with 20 seconds to go, Hercules hit him with a left hook. And he fell face first in the last few seconds of the fight and was KO'd. He was never the same after that. He was like Riddick Bowe before Riddick Bowe, Big John Tate. 6'5", great jab, could move on his toes a little bit more than Bowe. Bowe could move on his toes too, but he got lazy and he stopped doing it. But Big John Tate was that type of fighter, and Mike Hercules Weaver took it away from him with one punch. He had lost all the other rounds, pretty much, and knocked the guy's spark out. So, yeah, when we talked about that, and if you look at my pre-fight video breakdown, I talked about how I wanted Caleb to win. I wanted it for him so badly because of how things that he went through in his life and everything like that. Because you pull for the underdog. You pull for them to be successful or to overcome. But my problem was this was his first big fight. See, remember, there was a time him and David Benavidez was talking about fighting, or at least in the public eye, they were jabbering back and forth about what they do to each other and this and that. But I was worried about that fight if he would have fought David Benavidez, because Benavidez presents a whole different set of problems than Canelo, but I know that Caleb hadn't shown me something that proves that late in fights that he can pull something out. He's always faded. So when I did that pre-fight video and I talked about him, I said I could see him winning and doing his stuff, but Canelo coming through in the end. And that's exactly what happened.
And I got, I was like, you hit it right on the head, Sensei. I wanted it for him, and I don't know about you or anybody else's card, but I was watching the fight with my twin brother and my pops, and we all had Caleb up by a slight edge, and I'll be damned if he didn't get caught by that hook.
Yep.
Not saying that they was gonna give it to him, because you know how that is. But just the fact that if he would have made it to the end of the fight, then that'd have been another conversation. But that didn't happen.
Yeah, it's unfortunate too, because he was doing well, but guess what? He could have did better, huh?
Yes.
If he had put more punishment on Canelo may not have been able to do what he did late. Remember, not to give him too much credit or whatever, but Teddy Atlas likes to say, invest in the body. It's like water in the basement. And when you get water in your basement, it floods, it messes up everything. You got stuff now you got to throw out and everything because the basement flooded. Well, he didn't invest in that enough. What he was supposed to do, part of his game plan, it wasn't to slip and make Canelo miss and all of that. Part of the game plan should have been, and I talked about this, Canelo is a little dude. When he comes to these fights, he put on this extra weight and everything. He eats those carbs and stuff, and whatever he's putting in his body, it fills him out to make him look like a silverback. Okay, he's wide and strong, but he's 5'7". Caleb is like 6'1". Okay, you're supposed to make the little dude feel you, huh? And how do you do that? If the guy's got a great chin, he's got a great damn chin. But I ain't never heard of somebody having a great body in boxing where you go to it and you break them down. For many years, fighters fought Evander Holyfield at the heavyweight division, and they kept trying to knock him out on his chin because Evander could take a good shot. So every guy who was a puncher was like, I'm going to be the one to break that jaw. He could always take it to the chin. Mike Tyson tried it. Foreman tried it. Everybody tried it until Riddick Bowe got in there with him. And Riddick Bowe did something that nobody else was doing. He's a great inside fighter, like Holyfield was as well. But he was bigger than Holyfield. And so he started banging Holyfield to the body. And that was the end of that. Because when you got two men, one is 210 pounds and the other one is 240 pounds or 45 pounds and 6'5", and you just 6'2", who gonna win? The bigger guy. And then when you count their years, Bowe was like 5 or 6 years younger than Holyfield. There you go. You understand?
Yeah.
So
yes, sir.
Caleb didn't do those things. Could have let his hands go more, put more body work in, and by the time they got to the 10th or 11th, Canelo wouldn't have. Because listen, by him not doing what I just suggested, go back and watch the fight in the 8th and 9th rounds, maybe the 10th, and listen to what Ed Reynoso was telling him. He was like, you got this. You're a better fighter than him. You can pull this out still. Canelo was fading. He was fading. You have to understand how to read body language and listen to what the coach is telling his charge. He was trying to keep Canelo in the fight mentally himself because he was tired. Imagine if Caleb was doing the things that I was saying he needed to do. It becomes a different result.
And you know what? Just by watching the fights like this makes me like want to, as far as the boxer, not really the person, praise Floyd Mayweather. And then he had more power than what a lot of people tried to say. He had power in them little hands.
Well, yeah. See, with Mayweather, listen, he's a true student of the sport, been boxing since he was a baby, right? It's like he understands things. But Mayweather's ring IQ was probably better than his boxing skills. And what do I mean when I say that? Mayweather, did you notice how nobody just ran in there on him? You notice that?
Yes, sir.
Do you know why
Yes,
that
sir.
is?
Because of his IQ?
No, you just stated it. He hit harder than people believe. But he didn't go out there trying to blast people out. He would use his power in circumstances that would make you think and be hesitant. Now I can outbox you because I've shown you that I can hurt you. It's almost a reverse thing that Pernell Whitaker used to do. Pernell Whitaker used to like to outbox a guy, win every round, and embarrass the guy and take his integrity away from him by outboxing him for 12 or 15 rounds. See, his philosophy was if you just knock a guy out, the guy could say, oh, I got caught with a shot, or, you know, I didn't see the shot or whatever. He just caught me clean. But when you win damn near every round of the championship fight and you lose on the losing end, how do you explain that? You got to go back to the drawing board. You got to figure things out. You got to be like, you can't say he got lucky if he beat you every round. But see, Floyd could mix in a power shot when he knew he could land on you. Remember, if you think I'm lying, his most recent outing when he was in there with Jake Paul, he hit that guy and knocked him out and held him up till he woke back up and then continued the exhibition.
Yeah, I saw that.
When he did that, that took the fight out of Paul. So they basically was just in there moving around after that. So Floyd said, this big, strong kid think he gonna wear me down and get me out of here, but I'm gonna hit him with something and make him respect me. And that's exactly what happened. If you think I'm lying, go back and look at it. And this is the retired Floyd doing this to a young guy who ain't really a boxer or whatever, and Floyd knows that. So you get a guy off the street that think he tough, and you put him in the ring to spar Floyd, Floyd can knock him out too. I don't care how big he is.
Yeah.
But see, that's a fighter. Floyd is masterful. Remember, some people think that I, just like to put Floyd down or something. But I'm giving Floyd his flowers. You understand? In saying these things that I'm saying. Because it's undeniable fact. He doesn't have to be my favorite fighter for me to acknowledge that he's a great fighter and he's done great things. And also to use him as an example for the things that we're talking about. So he could hit a guy with something to make them respect him. Now, did he want to knock guys out? No, he just wanted to be the best the guy. Sugar Shane Mosley landed a couple of really good shots on him. And after that, didn't win no more rounds. Think about that for a moment. You landed one of your best shots on the guy a couple times, and then you don't win no more rounds? That's amazing, isn't it? That's because in between outboxing him, Floyd caught him with something and made him say, I'm here. And that's how Shane realized, I'm not as good as him. Psychological, bro.
It really is. And I don't know. I just felt just watching the fight, even with Caleb IQ not being as great as the great Floyd Mayweather, he was doing good. But like we just discussed, just got lulled to sleep by something. And Canelo being his IQ being up there, of course not as good as Floyd, was able to catch Caleb. And it is what it is. But also I want to give you your flowers, Sensei. that I know you're done with it. You're moving on. That final synopsis you did of the Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 3. Very well done, sir. Very well done.
Oh, you're talking about that video my final video on them?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, thank you for that. Thank you.
And what makes me mad is how come maybe because of Wilder got emotional, and how come the team didn't catch Fury's plans? How come they didn't understand what he was trying to do? So by the time where he damaged Deontay Wilder's head, by this time, okay, even though I don't have punching power, I have power enough where I can hurt him because I damaged his head.
Listen, man, I'll tell you something. First, I don't know why my chime is not working now on the alerts, because it should be working, but it's not. I want to acknowledge Big Dog Willie out there in that super chat. He says, Canelo is better than Roy Jones Jr. at 168 pounds is what I hear. Well, you need to stop listening to who's talking, Big Dog Willie, because you know better. Your folks raised you better than that, and you got more common sense than that. So that's what I have to say on that, man. Remember, they were saying Vasily Lomachenko was, Bob Arum said he was the best he's ever seen since Ali. And they were saying that Triple G could beat Marvin Hagler. He was better than Marvin Hagler. Come on, man. We know that you can go to the marijuana places and get as much dope as you want and smoke it like you want and everything. Look at Mike Tyson, huh? Pot smoking with Mike Tyson, the show, the podcast. So all of that kind of stuff, it is what it is, huh? You ain't got to listen to him. And if you smoking that stuff too, you'll buy right into it, huh? But Stormy don't mess around with that mess. And I'm clear-headed. That's why I can say the things that I say. But you know better than that, Big Dog Willie. You know better, man. But anyway, getting back to what Jared was saying. The Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder trilogy. There were criminal acts afoot throughout that whole trilogy. But what you have to understand, and I choose my words carefully here.
Yes, sir.
A lot of it wasn't even from Fury. It was external. They needed Deontay Wilder out of the way because of what he represented. And I said that in that video. And if anyone out there hasn't seen that video, you need to watch it. Because understand this, Jared, when I did that video, I never mentioned the word cheat once. Did you notice that?
No. That's why I said it was beautifully done. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And if anybody's out there in the chat right now, you can go on my main page of my channel, find that video that Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, my final thoughts on it. I think it says an ode to shade in boxing. I think that's the title of it. Take that link for that show and post it in my chat. I can't do it right now myself, but you could go find that video, take the link of it, and post it in my chat while we're doing this show so people can just click on it. If one of my moderators could please do that for me, that would be great. Just go find that video. It's Tyson Fury on the thumbnail. It says an ode to shade in boxing. Take that link, post it in the chat so people can see that video. I asked Tay Jones, who has direct contact with Wilder.
Yes, sir.
I asked him, I said, hey man, when you get a chance, I want you to see this video I just did. And Tay was like, okay, when I have time. So he's been very busy. He wasn't able to do it right away. And I said, well, when you do check it out, Get back to me and let me know what you thought of it. So I ended up having to contact him again because a while had passed and he hadn't said anything. So we was talking about something else through, texting each other. And then I asked him if he had a chance to see the video because he just forgot to tell me. He said, yeah, I saw it. I said, well, what'd you think? One word response. You know what he said?
What did he say?
Excellent.
It
Now,
was, man.
He's got a direct line into Deontay, right?
Yes, sir.
So Deontay seen that video. Okay? And I told him, I said, anytime I do any material on Deontay, I always try to do it with the utmost respect and to show him in a more favorable light because I understand what the establishment, the powers that be, the PTB. When you hear me say PTB, that means the powers that be, what their agenda was. And they worked it, man. It
was obvious, man. And maybe I was just talking out of frustration because I didn't want my man to go out like that. But it happened. And you notice we said everybody in the LDBC knows once you fight Deontay Wilder, it takes something out of you. You guess what, Tyson? Everybody. So what's happening to Fury right now? That man had to go through surgeries and talking about retirement because he knows he does it after fighting Deontay like 3 times.
Listen,
he only got a good 1 or 2 years left.
Check this out. Check this out. See, I'm loving your phone call here, and people that want to call in, just bear with me a moment because I'm letting Jared say these things because it's definitely a conversation that need to be had. But check this out. In my fight video leading up to that, my pick for the fight and everything, I said that Fury was going to wither in this fight and pretty much not he was gonna quit. Basically, I was saying that in so many, just to cut it short, I was saying he gonna quit. Deontay, he either gonna knock him out or he's gonna quit. He's not gonna go back to his corner and whatever kind of way it happens. Now,
right,
it happened. And I'm going to break it down to you right here very quickly.
Yes, sir.
When Deontay knocked him down that first time in the third fight, when you watch it in slow motion, he hit that man coming in. Fury was coming in at him. He caught him coming in. The only thing Deontay Wilder did wrong in that fight was wear the gloves that Fury wore, the horsehair, and not the gloves he normally wear, because those horsehair gloves, he's broken his hand in the past. Okay, and thanks to Mike James 616 for putting that link for the video. I appreciate you, man, and also thanks to Jive out there. Listen, he broke his hand when he hit Fury, but Fury went down, and he took a long time getting up. Because when he hit the canvas, it was like, damn. His wheels were turning. No, seriously. His wheels were turning like, damn. And this is early in the fight now. Remember, he knocked him down like that in the 12th in the first fight.
Yep.
But little was it known that Wilder broke his hand. Now, moments later, he put him down a second time. Right?
Yes, sir.
Go back and look at the fight. And look at the look on Fury's face when he went down the second time.
He was looking at the corner.
Yeah. He had a look like, I don't want no more of this. That's what the look said. But you know what?
Sensei, before you go further.
No, let me just finish this.
No, go ahead.
When he had that look on his face, but little did he know that Wilder broke his hand. If he hadn't broken his hand, no matter if it was a long count, no matter any of that, it makes a difference. It does. But he had that look on his face of resignation. And that's what I said in that video that I did with pre-fight. it was going to be a resignation. And due to whatever he had in his body, because remember, they say he took injections for his elbows. That's what got him up. That's what allowed him to go and finish, because he had banned substances in his body.
And cocaine. And that's why he didn't fight the October fight. He was trying to have time to flush that shit out.
Yes. So remember, I called it. But what I called was for it to be on the up and up. And at no point in this trilogy was it on the up and up. They now consider the first fight a victory for Fury. They're trying to make like the fight didn't end up as a draw according to the judges.
Man, remember, if you watch
it was a draw only according to the judges. It wasn't a draw in our eyes. We thought Wilder won the damn fight.
Wilder won that fight, clearly.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But the judges called it a draw. So he was robbed 3 times. There was a concerted effort to get this man out of the way. When he had his title, they didn't want AJ to fight and unify with him. Fury gets the title, and they want him to unify with Joshua. What is that? They're trying to keep the man out from being on top. Because, regardless, you like it or not, he is the best of his era on top, but he's not what they want because of how he represents, who he represents, what he stands for, and they don't want you to have that. Remember, the movie Black Panther came out a couple of years ago, okay?
Yes, sir.
And the first thing people started saying was, Wakanda ain't real. The Black Panther ain't real. That's not, listen, when Iron Man came out, people didn't say, Iron Man ain't real, huh? What's this guy that makes these cars and stuff now? Elon Musk. He's rich like Tony Stark, right? Where's his Iron Man suit? It ain't fucking real. But I'll tell you this, what T'Challa represents is real. And guess what? Chad Boseman is dead, bro. What the fuck? Am I the only one that sees this? They don't want you being what your natural position is on this earth. They've lied about history. They've lied about slavery. A lot of people don't know there were black people on this continent way before they were Aboriginal, okay? They want to make you think you came from Africa. All of us did not come from Africa. A very small portion came from Africa. There are native people to this land, indigenous to this land, that think there's something different from being black. That's a falsehood. You could go over in Australia and find dark people, but they only refer to them as Aborigine. They've been lying for the longest of times. They don't want you to know your real, identify with your real self, and Deontay Wilder represents that.
And it hurt it infuriated me seeing some of us on Facebook. And don't get me wrong, I was participating in the memes and certain, sporting events. When individuals get embarrassed or something like that. But how they did my boy Wilder, that kind of further woke my eyes and stuff, like how fleet we are. Like, of course, as boxing heads, we knew the ins and outs of what happened. The brothers and sisters on the outside looking in may not know, but even though they don't know what's going on, just how they was just going along and making fun of the brother, and then, you know, praise him for the valiant efforts he did even in defeat.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
And these Mexican warriors, these white warriors, when they lose, they people still behind them. But with our people, we take an L. Oh man, I knew he wasn't gonna be shit. Some of us be on some fuck shit because our lives ain't where it's supposed to be.
Right. Salute to the brother St. Louis Mix out there saying, you cooking, OG. Absolutely, man.
You are.
You have to tell the truth. You understand? I recognized a long time ago my platform, what this is supposed to mean. And I know how to articulate ideas and convictions without offending anybody. But if you are offended, you're a moron. You understand? It's as simple as that. F+, like it says on this wall behind me. Get to the back of the class. Because you're a person that resents facts. And I reject you. Hey, man, Jared, I want to say this is a beautiful phone call. I'm glad you called in because it gave a chance for us to bring out some things that people really needed to hear. But
I've been waiting for it, man.
Give someone else a chance to call, but please call back again, brother, and allow us to, continue this. But for now, I want to, shut it down. So allow someone else to call in.
No problem. No problem, man. I could talk to you all day about this. And, man, I praise you for this, allowing me speaking on this platform. You have a blessed day. I'm going back in the chat, man. Thank you.
All right. I appreciate you. And if you ever want to send me any personal message, just use the email because I'll respond to you, in the emails. It's not a problem, man.
Will do. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate you, bro. What a tremendous call that was, man, to open up the show with the communication aspect of the show. I really appreciate that, man. And that's what this platform is all about. That's what this show is all about. We do this for you, for me, and we. You understand? Welcome to the show. Who's calling and what's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, Stormy? It's K-Rod calling.
K-Rod, a.k.a. the Phone Man. What's good with you, bro? How you doing this morning?
Man, I'm just too happy right now. I'm just, ultra hype. Very good weekend of boxing.
Yes, sir. What's on your mind? What you want to say?
Well, I guess I'll probably start with the Alicia Baumgardner victory. I thought she did amazing. I thought she pulled off like an Errol Spence moment over in the UK. And I like Terry Harper as well, but I just saw something in her skill set that made me think that Alicia, she was going to stop her anyway, because Alicia, she's just that type of fighter where she has like a lot of versatility in her package. And I was right from the beginning because Alicia, she was giving Terry so many resets with her jab and I guess her ankles that she gave out to her, and she did amazing to the point where she just timed her shots well, and Terry couldn't do anything.
Well, what it also was is what my brother, and I acknowledged this earlier, my brother Kurt Sugar likes to refer to as rhythmic and perpetual motion. That's what Baumgardner brought to the fight. And Terry act like she's never seen that before. And she probably hasn't, especially if she's doing all of her training over there, because a number of the fighters, whether they're male or female, fighting out of the UK, are not taught to utilize athleticism and apply it to their boxing skills. They don't understand the aspect of rhythmic and perpetual motion. And that goes back throughout the history of boxing out of the UK. See, you take someone like Frank Bruno, big strong guy, big jab, powerful right hand. But he was as stiff as a board. Okay? Now, Lennox, when he came along, he had already had some Western training, right? And when he came to America, he started going to the gyms and everything with Western people. That's why he had more success. He had more fluidity and versatility. And he even got better once he got with Emmanuel Stewart. So you're looking at something here that what those people over there, they are prided in being what they are. And that's fine. But you'll be limited. And once you come across someone who offers that versatility that you mentioned, you're always going to have a problem with that. Always. And again, ignorance is no excuse, because now we have social media, we have, the web, the internet, and everything. So for a person to not want to be better or do better or get better, hey, it's on them.
Yep.
But Baumgartner represented that fluidity and that rhythmic and perpetual motion that Kurt Sugar talks about all the time. And she benefited from it because she was able to frustrate Harper into making mistakes. And those mistakes got her knocked out. Salute to the Queen, Lala D, out there in the chat. I see you, sister. Yeah, so what else you got, K-Rod?
Yeah, I just wanted to add on that because I think that was the main reason why Michaela Mayer didn't want to fight her in the first place, because she was trying to make that excuse to say that the Nevada State Athletic Commission wasn't going to approve Alicia, but Alicia, she debunked that argument, saying that that wasn't true at all. She was already ready to fight once she was healed up from her recent injury. And if Michaela wanted that fight in the first place, she would have told Bob Arum or whoever just to set that fight up immediately. But coming from this performance from Alicia just shows that she's a really dangerous fighter with her style, and she has those skill sets to make a lot of fighters look very bad.
Absolutely. And now, since they both have a couple of titles, it will make for one heck of a undisputed clash, wouldn't it?
Yeah. That's unless if Michaela or whoever goes after that other champion, that South Korean champion, right?
Yeah. It's just a foregone conclusion, because if Mayer gets her, then Mayer wins that belt, because she's got the popularity vote, especially if it goes the distance, But if Baumgartner gets the opportunity, she gonna look good doing it. And I'm telling you, it's hard to beat a fighter that's confident, talented, good, and fearless. She went over there. Did you see her dancing on her way to the ring? It was like she didn't care about that UK crowd. She didn't care about that UK crowd. That girl come from Detroit. That UK crowd at that stadium alone wouldn't go to Detroit. You understand? In their voluminous numbers, whatever it was in the stadium. You think they would take their asses to Detroit? Huh?
No.
They'll get sent back in body bags. Huh? Absolutely.
They want to.
So that girl had nothing to worry about.
Yeah, I just liked Alicia's confidence coming into this fight, because she basically kind of reminds me of Adrian Broner, I guess in the version of him being focused, and she didn't care what anybody had to say. She had everything locked in, and she just went out there and just surprised everybody. And I like that out of her because a lot of people really thought she wasn't that good coming up, but I was pretty much like one of the fewest people out here saying that, no, she's really that good. Like, a lot of people kind of doubted her, but then once she tried to, you know, basically talk her talk, and then she proved it in the ring as of last night, that was just absolutely pure greatness at its finest.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. So what else you got?
I wanted to talk about Gabe Rosado and Jaime Munguia. Unfortunately, my Puerto Rican fighter did not win, but I thought Gabe hurt Jaime multiple times, and he could have got Jaime out of there.
Yeah, he was too anxious to land his right hand. Had I been working Gabe's corner, I would have told him, start using your jab more. Jab his chest. Double up on the jab as a punch. Jab to the chest, hook to the body, hook to the liver, hook to the breadbasket, because Jaime now is looking for your right hand. And though you were still hitting him clean with it, you have to set it up. You understand? So I would have pulled maybe about the fourth round. I would have told him this, because I want you to understand that he's throwing punches and bunches, but if you're using a jab, it breaks all of that up. It breaks it up. It's like when a machine is operating and you take a pipe and you throw it in there and the gears get caught up and they stop. That's his simple analogy. So if you put your jab out there and make him respect that 2x4 coming straight at him, all that other stuff stops. Fighters don't believe that because they don't invest in it. Larry Holmes won most of his fights in 20 title defenses having a jab just like that. And he fought all types of punchers, bodywork guys, guys who could move, guys who wouldn't move, that stand right in front of you. He fought all of them and was whooping their behinds. So it's like the jab sets up everything. And you got to believe in it. Gabe could have done that. That's probably the only thing he did wrong, was that he didn't use his jab enough, because it sets everything else up. Jaime was being busy like a bee just to overwhelm Gabe. But a lot of the stuff he was throwing wasn't landing. But it still gets the attention of the judges. So you have to acknowledge these things and understand how to offset that. That's the only thing he did wrong. He had a chin. He stood up to it. But a lot of that over punching and stuff that Jaime was doing, he wasn't doing anything but wearing himself down. And Gabe did put in some decent body work. But what if he was doing it the way I told you he should do it? Then you see even a better result. And I'll tell you this. He should have opted to try to get Jaime out of there late. That's one of the things that the fighters of today, who are the more experienced guys, they don't believe in that philosophy no more. They be trying to knock guys out early. But when you're fighting a young guy who don't know nothing, you take him into deep waters. So when he think that he's swimming, he don't realize that it's not 6 foot depth anymore. It's 30 foot depth now. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah, because correct me if I'm wrong. Like, this fight would probably just be similar to that with Edgar Berlanga with Marcelo Caceres, because Caceres he could have easily stopped Berlanga, but he just didn't use his jab enough, right?
Well, yeah, and Berlanga was only operating off of trying to knock the guy out. You're not going to knock everybody out. You're not. You know what I mean? So that should not be the thing. Because remember, I said my philosophy is When you realize you got a charge that can punch, then you move him into the next phase of fighting different types of styles, because he's going to have to learn how to overcome. When you are familiar with things and you know how to counter something, when you come into a fight where things get tough, you'll have something to adjust to or to reach out of the toolbox. But if your toolbox has nothing but a number of KOs in it, you have no answers to questions that may be asked when you can't KO. Huh? There you go.
But then on top of that, wouldn't you say that it's better to work on multiple gears so that way you could become more versatile later on in the fight, so that way you don't just rely off of like one particular skill set?
No, what happens is that your people that are moving you along properly, instead of trying to rush you to a title, they're supposed to put you in with different types of styles. Guys who are aggressive, who are going to come at you. Guys who are going to move away from you and make you expend energy trying to cut the ring off and things of that nature. Guys who could really take a shot on the chin, who will take you extended rounds. So you'll learn what your stamina is like when you get late in the fight, because when you get fatigued, you don't want to think. You're just thinking about how tired you are. And therefore you can't make the actions come to fruition that you would normally do because you're worried about your shape. So these are the way you build. And trainers of today and managers of today, they don't do that. They just try to get a guy in a position, especially when he can knock people out. You try to get him in that position so he can get a title. The titles are going to be there because they change hands like people change underwear. Huh? So it's like you don't need to rush to that. You rush through the process of learning, because you study up, then you're prepared to go out and do anything. That's why Galahad got knocked out. Galahad got knocked out because he saw his size and reach and hand speed were superior to Martinez. But he forgot one thing. Martinez is a former champion, an aging fighter, but has tremendous experience that Galahad doesn't have. And he took advantage as soon as Galahad gave him the opportunity. That could be a lesson for everybody. You go back and watch that entire fight. The man thought he was on solid ground and realized he really wasn't until he was on his back. Still there, K-Rod?
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. The final thing that I wanted to cover on was the David Benavidez fight. Do you think with this performance, David should get a shot at Canelo?
I think with this performance that Canelo might be reconsidering, because what David Benavidez shows is that he's an insurmountable force coming at you, and he's so much bigger than Canelo. Canelo don't hit like Mike Tyson, so it's like, what is he gonna stop Benavidez with? The man can just keep coming on like a wave. He can take a punch, and people are saying, well, his stamina, but he got fast hands, and he can punch from any direction. I don't know if you guys noticed that he can throw punches that are not textbook. Okay, so in a way, that's kind of unorthodox. And Canelo is not ever happy with unorthodox. That's why he hasn't fought guys with movement and perpetual motion like Trout, Andre, Floyd, and Lara and such since then. He hasn't fought those kind of guys. And remember, he did fight Amir Khan, who was beating him. But he caught him, timed him with that shot and knocked him out. But that was Amir Khan. Imagine these guys who are talented and have much more than what Khan brings. Kell Brook did the same thing to Triple G. You know? So the man has limitations. He's 5'7". I keep stating that because I want you guys to understand. You know, I'm 6'2". A guy that's 5'7", I ain't letting him get close to me, because the only way he can do anything to me is to get close to me. Now you talk about timing shots. I'm gonna catch him coming in, and that's gonna be good night, Irene. Because I know he wants to get close, so I can set traps for him. Benavidez is so big, and he's coming on. His hands are fast. Where Canelo gonna have time to get out of the way? All that bending at the waist and moving and bobbing and all of that he does, eventually he gonna get slapped up by one of them heavy-handed shots. And that's when he's gonna go into, like what we saw last night. Chiron, he was trying to protect himself right against the ropes, but Benavidez was punching through his guard. Corner had to throw something in there to save him. He didn't want to quit. He was trying. He was giving an effort. And Canelo was ready to wither against Caleb late in the fight, even though Caleb wasn't putting the heat on him. Benavidez going to put the heat on him from round one. So you're looking at possibly a 6th or 7th round fight with him and Benavidez. He has nothing to hurt Benavidez with. Nothing. And he knows it. That's why he didn't fight him when he had the belt. Remember, back then he was saying, I'm not going to fight any more Mexican fighters. Well, guess who had the belt? A Mexican fighter called David Benavidez. As soon as they stripped that belt from him, Canelo looked over there and said, I think I want that belt right now. That ain't by design. Yeah. That's by thought process of, and he said that about not fighting Mexican fighters way before people started hearing about Benavidez, because he knew about Benavidez, because in the boxing world, they know about upcoming talent. They know, they get, like Keith Thurman try to say he don't know who Jerron Boots Ennis is. The only reason he's saying that he don't know who Jerron Boots Ennis is because y'all just finding out who Jerron Boots Ennis is, but he saw Jerron Boots Ennis way before we did. You understand? The boxing world knows, bro. So before we get out of here, man, I want to allow someone else to call in, K-Rod. But I appreciate your call, man. Thanks for supporting the show, and we'll have you back on, man.
All righty. Thank you very much, Stormy.
All right, peace to you, man.
See you later.
All right,
have a good day.
Couple of great calls there, man. I really appreciate that. Anybody else want to call in? I'll give you the floor for the last 20 minutes or so, and we can get on out of here. I appreciate all the thumbs up out there. We really cooking on the thumbs up today. I appreciate that so much. You guys have no idea. And Picasso, I see you out there. Okay, welcome to the show. Who's calling? And what's on your mind?
What's going on, Stormy? Just Al, man. Al the Truth. That's my little tag name. But anyway, calling out of Chicago. But I was calling, bro, because I had seen your video a while ago about with Deontay Wilder and everything. And the thing that really touched me was
hold on before you continue, Al. You said Al, right?
Yeah.
Before you continue, which video are you talking about, so I know which one you're referring to?
It was the third Deontay one when you said like the final. You said it was like final something. I forgot exactly the name.
Oh, okay, that's the one that I was talking about a little earlier in the show. Yeah. Okay, go ahead now. Go ahead. What you thought?
Yeah. So like, it just goes back to like everything when it comes to like boxing. Like, so one thing that really makes me mad, you know what I'm saying, is just like, people try to downplay the reality of like how race plays a major part into like boxing. And I'm not trying to say that we all just straight race fans or nothing like that, but the reality is, like, I always tell people this, like, put it in perspective, right? if I turn on the TV, right, and there's two people fighting, one black, one white, my natural inclination is for me to root for the black guy because it's like he black. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's the same thing. You look at it, any other race, they want the Puerto Rican to win against the Mexican want the Mexican to win against the Puerto Ricans, whatever. That's natural. It's tribalism. You know what I mean? It only becomes a problem when, you know, people make that their only justification why they want to fight to win. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So going back to your point with Deontay Wilder, I said, it's sad how we live in a time and a day, and it's always been prevalent. When you see a guy like Deontay Wilder, you say you want truth. You don't, like they say, okay, Mayweather, he always flashing his money. Then we get Andre Ward. He's not doing that. He a family man, whatever. So now you hate him. You say he knocks people out. You get Deontay Wilder, he not flashy, but he has charisma about himself. You know what I mean?
Right.
And he's going about things in a way where it's like you can tell that the man got integrity. Right. And then all of a sudden when he fights somebody that they want to win, all of a sudden he don't have integrity. It's like, what happened to the knockouts? What happened to all the things that you loved him before? Now all of a sudden, when he's speaking on issues, you hate this man. Well, he's never shown you anything to hate him for. You see what I mean?
Right.
And if you really look at his story, it's kind of like he's the American dream. If you really look at it, it's like a guy. I remember 78 was saying this on the show, and I said I always think about what he said because I know where he's coming from, especially being where I'm from in Chicago. It's like it's a beautiful thing, you know what I'm saying, when you have somebody that you grew up with in them circumstances, and all of a sudden, instead of choosing the wrong route, they choose the right route and do things the right way. That's supposed to be the American dream. But instead of people embracing that and say, you know what, this man, he stepped on the scene. He chose to do the right thing instead of the wrong thing. And look how much he did made out of the limited time he was boxing. We just gonna crap on everything he done did. You know what I'm saying? No matter how many people we didn't face fighting all these years, no matter what, we just gonna crap on everything he did.
Right.
And I remember you was just saying earlier about, you know what I'm saying, the Black Panthers and all these things. I remember back when Black Panther first came out, right? And I'm not going to go too in depth, but I'm just going to give you an example. So, like in China, right, for example, they pretty much didn't want to even watch the movie because they like, oh, you know, it's black superheroes. And I remember what you were saying about how, you know what I'm saying, people was just mad because we found something to be happy in. A champion. Everybody wants a champion. Everybody wants somebody who represents them, who looks like them. But when we want somebody to look like us, all of a sudden it's mainstream media. All of a sudden it's a big problem, you know? And just to be honest, man, I mean, ever since like Wilder lost and then Errol Spence didn't get a chance to get his glory, I actually, you know, so I still watch boxing, but I haven't been as invested in it as I've been in the past couple of years because it's kind of like, it's always something, you know what I mean? And to your point, it's like we don't really want to accept the reality that there's always something working behind the scenes to dethrone people because they understand representation means motivation. And when you have somebody who's really representing properly, it can breed up people that are willing to take that mantle because they see that it can be done, you know? And I always look at that same thing. So like, I'll just give you an example that's outside of the race. So you look at Caleb Plant, right? And you look at Canelo. I was thinking about it. I said, it's funny, right? Caleb Plant, not even a black dude, right? But just because he fights for the PBC and because we was rooting for Caleb Plant to win, all of a sudden he PBC. All of a sudden he's this. All of a sudden he's that. And people just root, but they want to deny that reality, even though they know it's true, you know? So my main purpose of this call is just to say that I appreciate what you've been doing, brother, because I be watching. A lot of times I don't comment a lot, but I be seeing it and I see how you be breaking it down. It's kind of like even when it comes to like the Wakanda thing you were saying. I was like, it's funny how we don't even realize our power because you look at Kotane, which is in the Congo, right? You build cell phones, you got the energy, everything. That was the main thing they was trying to get out of like Wakanda, right? So we looking at it as fiction, but reality, there's really like a mineral that the whole world wants and they're exploiting people over there in the Congo to get this, because we don't even realize the power that we have right within our own nations. You know what I mean? So we sell ourselves short. You know, so when you look at like these celebrities and just the ones that's black, because I always tell people, I said, when I see people that's not black, you know what I'm saying? I used to get mad at it, but I didn't grow older and wiser. Honestly, it don't even really bother me no more, because I'm saying I expect people to root for their own cause. But when I see people of my same skin or people that look like me, it infuriates me more, because I say, you know what? You don't even see the bigger picture. Or, and if you do, you so sold out to whatever you trying to do that you don't care about the rest of us, you know? And that's why, like a guy like Deontay Wilder and some of these guys, I will always root for these guys, because I say, you know what? You're the example that the youth is looking for. You're the person out there that no matter what, these people are going to like have somebody to say, he did it. I can do it, you know, no matter where they're coming from. So just to go into boxing real quick and fast, I was telling somebody this other day, I said, when I saw Canelo fighting Caleb, I said, it's sad that nobody wants to recognize this. If we really just watching the fight, we didn't get away from the reality that it's still based on scores and points. You know what I'm saying? Of course, power punch might mean more, but it's still a scoring system. So when you looking at a guy like Canelo, I said it's sad that we didn't get so accustomed that you have to pretty much, like, people then came to believe that you really have to knock this man out to win the fight. Or you have to beat him so dominantly, like Floyd beat him, or you're going to lose the fight. I say any fighter that's going into a fight with Canelo is going to have that in the back of his mind, no matter how mentally strong he is, which might take him out of his game plan. Because you look at the Caleb Plant fight, a lot of them rounds was close. You know what I'm saying? And he was winning a lot of those rounds. But they pretty much had it a landslide for Canelo. So if you're a fighter, kind of like what happened with Austin Trout, we all was looking at the fight, but then he got out of his game plan, he got knocked down, and things happened. It's like, how do you expect a fighter in those type of fights to fight his fight when he know no matter what he do, he's going to be losing the fight? You know? It's crazy. But people don't want to accept that reality to know that, to your point earlier, you're not just fighting the fighter no more, you're fighting the machine. And you're fighting a machine that no matter if they lose money, because I think a lot of people always break it down with their money. These people are so set in their ways, they don't even care if they lose money. Long as they can push the narrative that they want, they happy with that. And you can look at what happened with Triple G. And I always say these same things about like, oh, you know, black people don't sell, blah, blah, blah. But think about it. If you look throughout the history of the sport, you got the Muhammad Ali's, you got the Floyd Mayweathers, you got the Sugar Ray Leonards, and the list goes on. Top selling people, you know what I'm saying, all the time. So where did this narrative even come from? It's not a reality. But like I forgot who said this exactly, but he said, if you tell a lie long enough, it becomes the truth. You know what I mean? So you keep telling that lie over and over and over again, all of a sudden people start believing that it's true. And I see that playing out right now in the boxing world. And I think, before I let you speak, bro, I think that the sad thing is that a lot of people, they don't really want to accept the reality that just because it's a sport, it doesn't separate everything in the world that's attached to the sport. You know what I'm saying? The money is there, of course, but the racism is definitely there. You just can't erase those things just because it's boxing. It becomes even more prevalent within that thing because it's mano y mano. And anytime you have mano y mano going on, you want to see your man win. You know what I'm saying? And I say only time that it's ever a separation with that, if it's a known guy. Like if I see Pacquiao fighting a black guy, I like Pacquiao because I'm like, that's Pacquiao. You know what I mean? He's a known guy. So he might be fighting a black dude, but I might want Pacquiao to win strictly out the fact that it's Pacquiao. I've been following Pacquiao for so many years. But if they were both unknown fighters, people would be lying to themselves not to say, hey, I want this guy who looked like me to win. You know what I mean, bro?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think the one last thing I would say is I'm very proud of Clarissa Shields. I've been following her career, and I'm very proud that it's a lot of guys who've been backing her because honestly, I really didn't follow women's boxing like that because the thing is, it's like when you watch a women's boxing, it's a 2-minute round. They never really get a chance to get into the action. And I'm just glad that she stood on her mantle. You know what I'm saying? She understands her worth. And look at it. She getting a seven-figure payday off of her own merit. You know what I'm saying? And she's really going hard for herself. And I think that a lot of guys can take a lot from her. And saying, you know what, I'm not going to sell myself short. Sometimes you might lose. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you might win. But you got to take a gamble on yourself because in the end of the day, if you're willing to compromise in any given form, you are always going to compromise. And once they see that weakness in you, they're going to take advantage of it. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's like the things I've seen when I was boxing, people, you know what I'm saying, throwing fights. And I think I said this on another show. My dad used to box in the 70s. And they used to always try to get my dad to throw fights. Now, man, back in the 70s, it was real bad. Like, the mob was really out there. I mean, they still behind the scenes, but it wasn't like then. They would literally try to kill you. And I remember my mom, she was saying to my dad, like, yo, you need to stop fighting, because they was literally threatening his life, you know? So he stopped boxing off of what my mom was telling him, because, he had kids or whatever. They had kids or whatever. But it was that serious. Now, man, he wasn't even, like, that big yet, and they was trying to like get at him like to throw fights and stuff because he was starting to make a name. So I said, people just can't even imagine what goes on behind the scenes when it comes to things like that, because whether it's the drug testing, whether it's the gloves, like we seen in the guy, I can't even remember his name right now, it was not too long ago when they shipped the gloves in and there was no patent. I said, you don't think that a guy who's making like what, $5,000 to fight? And I know it's not even that much, but understand, if they offer him 10, he's not going to sneak them gloves in. You lying to yourself. You just a fool. And anybody who's in the game know that. So I always tell people just try to stay positive and just try to like remember that integrity means more than anything. Because in the end of the day, once somebody can hold something over your head, you already lost the game. Because you can never truly get to the pinnacle, because once you get there, you're going to have somebody say, remember that time? And once that scandal comes out, you already lost. So, yeah.
Absolutely, man. you have...
So,
go ahead.
No, go ahead, brother. That's all I had.
No, I was going to say, you have brought up some very good issues, but I'm grateful that you took that video of Deontay that I did, and you took the correct message away from it. That's why earlier in the conversation here, I was telling one of my mods, and shout out to I think it was Mike James 616 that reposted the link of that specific video in the chat per the conversation I was having, because that was done because I wanted people to know exactly what's what, but also stemming from the experience of how I was able to observe that trilogy, what it meant for us, what it meant for the future, and what it meant overall for someone representing like Deontay Wilder in the sport. Do you know that Muhammad Ali currently is, considered one of the all-time greats? People worship Ali. People give reverence to Ali and totally celebrate him. But during his career, in his prime, he was hated. So much to the degree that they wanted to take him away from boxing and send him to Vietnam, which he more than likely could have died in that war, because those of us that they sent over there, a lot of us didn't come back. And it was because of what he represented Just like now,
Exactly.
what Deontay represented. But what people don't understand upon reflecting in history is Ali was hated by his own as well.
And it's sad, bro. And the one quick thing that you said that made me think about something, I said a lot of people don't even know this. The reason why Joe Louis didn't even smile or do the things that he did is because they didn't want to repeat a Jack Johnson.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't know that, but it's real. But go ahead, brother.
And Ali was more of a modern Jack Johnson, but better,
Yep.
but better in what he was doing as far as boxing. So they was like, how dare this person, I'll use and articulate correct words, but you guys can read between the lines, come on the scene and try to get these people riled up, try to get these people behind him and what he's representing to think that they have a chance to be better than what we consider them. Yeah, that's the truth. Now,
100%. Man.
I've had people say about Deontay Wilder, same thing. Now, when you say Wilder is like Ali, people say, he don't box nothing like Ali. He wasn't as successful as Ali. He wasn't this. Listen. History has a way of repeating itself. And those who are ill-informed of history are doomed to repeat it, but not necessarily in a positive sense, but in a more negative sense. What have we learned since Ali's day? You do know that when they took his title from him, and for almost 3.5 years he was out of the sport, when he came back and he was able to box again, after being back on the scene, not long, he wanted to go in there and try to get his title back from Joe Frazier, who basically was handed his belt while he was away. There was a slew of us who resented him, went against him, praying for Joe Frazier to knock him out or close his mouth. Isn't it funny that history repeats itself?
It's very funny.
That history repeats
funny,
itself. Hold on, let me finish, brother. You were kind of long-winded when you were saying, but it's my stage now. I got to make this point. Isn't it funny how history repeats itself, and Deontay now representing that same type of mindset that Ali had, embracing his people, uplifting his people, and trying to speak in a manner of which there's integrity at the core of what he's doing. We actually heard him say at the press conference and weigh-in of the third fight with Tyson Fury, I'm a none in this sport in comparison with some of y'all. Speaking of Fury and others out there in the sport. That flew over a lot of people's heads. They may have recognized it on that moment when he said it. But see, here it is. We're a couple of months removed almost from that, and I'm still talking about it because it meant something. Okay? And when your own are celebrating your demise, celebrating your setbacks, faltering or failing, you really don't have much to stand on when your own are divided. But this is why you collectively get behind the proper representation. And some of you don't know what proper representation is because you spend too much time digesting and taking in forbidden fruits, things that are not good for you. And you kill yourself from within. That's why you can't prosper. That's why you can't persevere. That's why you can't elevate to another level of consciousness because you take in too much poison. And guess where the poison comes from? Yes, it's administered from an external source. You don't even realize it. That's why you can walk down the street and pass someone who looks like you and mean mug them and give them the once over up and down. That's why you can decide that you're going to break in his house. That's why you could decide that you'll shoot him in a act of road rage because he might have turned in front of you or something. But you'll do that to your own, but not to the external source that's helping to dilute and poison your community. That's an illness, and it's inbred in you. But Deontay represents something that stands above all of that. And you still happy that he was on the losing side of something. He didn't lose. You lost.
Mm-hmm.
You are lost. What are you going to do about it? Go out and attack another one of your own? Go out and be begrudging and unfriendly to one of your own? You're helping to perpetuate everything that keeps you under. You don't know a damn thing about prosperity. Because just like Ali represented what he did, being a true people's champion, he went over to Manila to fight Joe Frazier. People were coming up to him. Now this is like 10 years removed from the Vietnam situation in the 60s. He had people coming up to him, thanking him. He looking around like, what the hell they thanking me for? They put that in the Ali movie, but it's a true story. Foreigners in Manila thanking him. Why? Because he said, ain't no Viet Cong ever called me an inappropriate name. Huh? And that's how far he reached. You have no idea how far Deontay has reached. He traced his own lineage back to a tribe in Nigeria. You have a Nigerian fighter over here, Effie Ajaba, talking down about Deontay because he went over there and he had a photo session where he wore traditional robes and everything from the tribes of his people, his lineage. That is the type of hate I'm talking about.
Sacred.
Because the poison that a fighter and person like Effie Ajaba has in his system is to teach him that we're not connected. You ain't one of us. If you line them up on a wall next to each other, they look awfully familiar. And in a police lineup, they put them together, don't they? They tell you it ain't no difference. So why is Ajaba attacking his own? You see the poison that I'm talking about?
100%.
You can take an Irishman from New York City and take a man from Ireland and put them in a venue, and just because they're on different continents, they'll find some type of kinship.
Yep.
You're the only one. You're the only one that's been taught not to understand kinship, because kinship leads to rulership. I want to take a quick moment and acknowledge a super chat that came in a while ago from the brother Tone 40. He said, salute Stormy B, man, facts. I appreciate your super chat and donation to the show, man. I was letting Al cook, but I do want to take a moment out and go back and acknowledge that. But Al, I want to tell you this. You brought some great points up here. Do not be a stranger to my channel. Do not be a stranger to my chat. I want to see you in the chat with your voice and your support is representative of everything that we're speaking on now. I just want to say that before we end our conversation. And I'm not cutting the conversation. I'm just letting you know that you need to represent. There's strength.
Agreed, brother.
There's strength in unity and numbers. And the way that we get to where we need to be is by displaying that. So let it be known. This is the proper representation. And my channel is here for a reason. Even though I can talk boxing with you guys all day and night, I always have something else to offer as well. But your eyes and ears have to be receptive and open. And know it when you see it, know it when you hear it. And Al showed me that when he talked about that video and he came in. That's why I asked specifically, which video? Because, I put out videos and everything I do is pure. So it's like, you let me know that and I'm like, okay, cool. Let's talk about it. You got anything else you want to say?
I just want to say that to your point, brother, I do appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, they don't really see the bigger picture. And one thing I want to end off on is just saying this. When you see strong black men, such as yourself, I see like other brothers out there, they pushing the line, they showing that they taking care of their family, they doing these things. I say one of the things that's always missed is a lot of people don't even consider the fact that when you look at Deontay Wilder, his father was always in the picture, right? And
absolutely. I
can just say personally, where I grew up in Chicago, it's funny how a lot of the guys who made it out of where I made it out of, I used to live in Inglewood, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the guys who made it out of that area, they had fathers that was strong. And they want to downplay that role because they want to make it seem as though it's not relevant. But anytime you have a strong man that stands up and represents properly, you could change a village. You could change the trajectory, but it's up to people to hold on to that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And let me just say this. I grew up around 52nd and Calumet, right over by King Drive, Washington Park. That's where I come up.
Yeah.
So I know what you're saying.
57 and Normal. Yeah, 57 and Normal. They didn't turn it into a whole like train yard. And I remember I was telling somebody this way back, before all this happened. I said, y'all know they just letting y'all kill each other off because once y'all kill each other off, they're going to take this area over. It's going to be gentrification. And we see it. If you ever ride down to 57 and Normal, there used to be a bunch of lighthouses. There used to be a bunch of things going on. It's ghost town. And they said they was going to put a train yard in there. They never did anything because they setting that area up to make it so that once everything is all said and done, it's going to be a prestigious area. But a lot of people can't think of it. And now, man, I was a teen when I was telling this. And I remember when I was young, they used to always say, oh, preacher boy, blah, blah, blah. But it's not because I was a preacher boy. I was just looking for it like, yo, bro, you don't see this. And I was hanging out with, a lot of my guys sold drugs, all that stuff. But I had my dad there that used to check me. Like, boy, what you going to do? What you going to do? And I see that in Deontay Wilder. That's why I see a kindred spirit. Because even though he don't talk about it, I know for a fact that the fatherhood in his life has a direct representation in how he projects himself to the world, even
Absolutely.
if he don't say it.
Absolutely.
And when I see a brother like you talking, I say it's sad because a lot of people, they don't want to take the wisdom of their elders and realize that I don't know everything. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't know everything, and I'm willing to accept what I don't know to make me better,
Right.
So you know, I mean, I would just say this one last thing. I would definitely always be a supporter of your channel because I feel like you speak the truth. And I feel like anytime somebody's speaking the truth, they're worth supporting, you know? I don't have a lot of money. Sometimes I don't drop super chats, all that stuff. But at the same time, I definitely be listening. I always try to push the like button. And I share the videos because I feel like, you know, it's worth hearing. But, you know, in the end of the day, you know, we all got to stick together. We got to realize that there's one guy, he said this, and I thought it was very powerful. He said, it's not that black people don't have economic value and economic wealth. What we lack is unity. Yeah. And that always stuck with me, you know, because I said, that's very true. It's not that we don't have buying power. It's not that we don't have everything that everybody else has. What we lack is unity. And you touched on that very briefly, but it's very real. So I love you, brother, man. And, you know, that's all I got to say.
Hey, man, I appreciate it, man, from the bottom of my heart. And that's real, what you just said, man. And I can't, you know, really say it any better, you know. And I appreciate you and your efforts of the support that you do and the way that you have shared content and things like that. Because, again, and people throw this saying around, but it's really based in substance. It's real, recognize real. I've come to say this a lot lately in life. I said, everybody ain't gonna make it, man. Everybody ain't gonna make it. We could wish and want for a lot of things, but just as you said, that there's a number of men out here that grew up with fatherless homes. And some of them have still managed to get to a good place in life. But just imagine the ratio of those who don't and need to. Because Malcolm X once had this statement. He said, people in the black community are always repeating a negative cycle of life. Killing, stealing, robbing one another of the great things that they can offer in life. And you cannot be what you cannot see. Huh? And what that means is, if you don't see a neighbor going to work every day, or proper representation of your community and the service that community can have, things of that nature, professionals within the realm of your existence. That's a doctor that lives over there, or this person is a lawyer or attorney. If you cannot see those things, how do you come to a place to inspire or desire to want to be those things? And then have the community also reflect that the negative things that we see so much are not acceptable. You see,
exactly.
If you go down a certain street, right, and you see a house that has curb appeal, it's like lawn is cut nice, you got flowers out there, everything's trimmed and look nice. You know, you'll stick out like a sore thumb if other people on the block don't do their part. You know, and for the most part, that's called leading by example. And when you lead by example, you can be a positive influence. But imagine you go through certain neighborhoods, you see trash on the curb, you see paper here and there on the ground, you see the grass is growing wild and stuff like that. Garbage cans could be sitting at the corner, but it's garbage all on the ground. The garbage can is not even a quarter full of garbage. Think about that. Think about the mentality behind that. And it is exactly reflective of what I'm talking about.
In the other neighborhoods, and they won't throw it in those other neighborhoods that look prestigious. But to your point, they'll throw it in their own neighborhood. And something you just said triggered one thing in my mind. I was done, but I want to say this one thing. I remember when I was in the military, right? I came home, right, and it was this young kid. I mean, I was still caught up in my life at the time, but I remember these young kids. They used to always kind of look up to me, right? So I used to always come outside. I'll be running miles. I'll be doing things. But I still used to smoke weed. I can't lie. I was smoking weed, whatever. I was doing my thing at the time. But at the time, I remember I was smoking, and a guy, he was a young kid. I was probably like 18 years old. I came home from leave for, my Christmas break. And one of the young guys, he's probably like 14, 15, he came up to me and he said, man, Al, he said, every single day I see you wake up, I see you work out, I see you throw the trash out for your mom, all that. He said, that made me want to go back to school, bro. He's like, and that always stuck with me. You know what I'm saying? That always stuck with me because it made me realize that it doesn't really matter what you think of yourself. People are always watching, even if you don't think they watching. And it made me think to myself that I got to do better because, yeah, I'm out here kicking it with the young guys or whatever. I'm hanging out with them, but they looking at me as motivation to do better. And that's why, like, I steered in my mind, like, I have to be a representation to these guys because to the point I was saying earlier, a lot of them don't have father figures. And I was the older homie. So it's like they was looking at me as motivation for them to do things better in their life. And it's sad that it's like that, but but that's reality. And sometimes we have to, even if we don't want to, we have to take that upon ourselves to say, I'm gonna be the proper representation to the people who's watching me, even if I don't know that they watching me, because in reality, sometimes we their only hope. And if they see us fall, they gonna fall because they looking at it in the essence of saying, like, you know what? He couldn't even make it, and I used to look up to this guy. But if they see you make it, they give them that much more ability to want to make it because they know that no matter, we came from the same hood, we did the same thing, but he made it. And if he can make it, I can make it.
Yes, sir, man. I want to take a quick moment and acknowledge 1/3 of our show, the three wise men out there in the chat. We got Curtis Anderson out there. Salute to you, Kurt. I was just waiting for a moment in the airspace to acknowledge you, man, on the mic. So I'm glad to see Kurt in the chat. Everybody, keep Kurt in your prayers because he's trying to come around so he can get back on here with us and everything. But it's good to see Kurt out there in the chat. I appreciate you showing out there, bro.
Much salute to Kurt. Prayers out for Kurt, man. I know what he's going through. I heard a few things, so definitely gonna keep him in my prayers. So,
yes, sir. Yes, sir. But hey, man, this was a great call that you brought in here to bring out some great conversation. Because even though somebody might look out there and say, "Oh, they're not even talking boxing." Yes, we are. It's connected, and the fact that I drew an analogy and also a path of right between Muhammad Ali and Deontay Wilder. And it's amazing. The more things change, the more they stay the same. That's because the game was not created for us, but we are pawns within it. And when you wake up to what the Matrix is, like that film, you begin to think outside of the box and understand where you are within the framework, because you have to have an awakening to evaluate and make a change. You can't just say tomorrow, I'm going to change, because you could still be drawn into the BS. But you first have to acknowledge that there is a game being played. If you don't do that, you can't look introspectively and do something reflective of, what the game represents. Be an outsource of, someone that is, what's that word, where they excavate, remove. That's when you really have freed your mind. That's why I made that video. When I made that video, I was thinking things out, thinking them out. And I put that video together. I'll tell you guys a little bit of secret. And I'll actually do a short a video on this where people can see how sometimes I put together my videos. But I had put images together. I had laid a soundtrack for music and everything. But I do a voiceover at the end of things. And when I did that voiceover for the Ode to the Shade and Boxing video about the third fight and the trilogy overall, I sat down and did the voiceover all at one time. Hadn't written anything down, wasn't scripted. It was all off the top of my head and coming from my heart. There's another video I did the same way. I do most of my videos like that, so don't think anything different. But I want you to know that the other video I did the same way was Welcome to Black Murderers Row 2021. And I'm saying that to express exactly being able to articulate what you want to say, how you want to say it, what you want it to mean. And those videos are done that way. So understand that that's where the purity of it comes from. That's why those that might have the ear to hear and the heart to receive understand that that comes from a special place in our community. You know and can recognize facts. That's why someone can be drawn to something, and that's why it could go over others' heads. The heads that it go over, I can't control that, and I don't worry about that, because what? I said once before, everybody ain't going to make it. Everybody ain't going to make it. And you can't be concerned with that falls by the wayside, just like you don't concern yourself with what goes in the toilet once you flush and where it goes, right? You just want it to go away. And when it doesn't go, what you do? You call a plumber, huh? Because you still want it gone, right? Think about it.
Yeah.
So
you're 100% right, brother. I mean, I would just say that you're 100% on with that, man. That's real deep. I can co-sign that 100%, man. Definitely.
Yes, sir.
I would just say one last thing. With that. I would just say that I hope that everybody that's listening, y'all not just taking these as words, because I could tell from Stormy what he's saying. It's from the heart. And everything I'm saying is from the heart. And I think that a lot of people think that this is just, I ain't gonna say a lot of people, but certain people think this is just to get clicks and views and all that stuff. But I can tell when I was listening to you that it's from your heart. And I really, truly hope that people can look at it that way, that we truly care about people. And in the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? It's like, what you going to do with this information? I mean, are you just going to just take this information and just throw it in a toilet, like you said? Or are you going to take this information and do something with it? Because if you don't do nothing with it, it's just wasted words. It's not wasted words on the ones who going to take it, but it's wasted words on the ones who going to listen to it and say it was just another good show. You always got to take information, because they always say knowledge is power. And if you don't take that knowledge and do something with it, you're already losing half of the game. So that's all I would just say. You know what I mean? Yeah.
You know, I do a collaboration on Sunday evenings with Drew Titan. Shout out to Drew Titan LLC. And when I do that, I always take his show and share it to my page, on my community page, because that's my way of promoting and also coming with the collaboration that I do. I put that out there like that because I have viewers and supporters, maybe not as many as he, but just doing that lets people know, because there might be somebody who checks me out but don't check him out. You know what I mean? And again, that's how you get to a better place of where you want to be, by working together. I'm telling you, man, everybody else can do it except for some of the ignorant. And I'll leave that up to those who want to decide and think who that might be, because I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just stating the obvious. You know, ignorance presents itself in many forms. And
exactly.
when it does, you don't have to point fingers, huh? It just pops up and say, "Here I am."
Nah.
It does. This is fact.
You already know, bro.
So, but hey, man,
You
again, I
you
really,
know something crazy.
huh?
Stormy, I was just saying, man. I was saying, oh my bad. I was gonna say I could talk to you for hours, man, because you remind me of one of my OGs. They would say back in the day where I can just literally just talk to you for hours, but I know you got to get your show off, man. But I really appreciate, man, talking to you, man. And just I appreciate what you do, man. But go ahead and end your show. But
yeah, but absolutely.
Love,
but
all
understand this,
board,
and that's why I'm saying that, you know, you should, you know, show up in the chat, write in the chat, because, you know, there could be people out there that support you. You don't even know they support or whatever. But it's always good to put a face and a voice with a name and things of that nature. And because this is a call-in show, you can call back. You understand? And this is the beginning of, you know, something that, you know, you're the first time caller for me here, and I really embrace what you brought to the show today. Just like, you know, the other callers and everything. That's what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about. The actions, taking an action, puts things forth toward a movement, toward progression. That's what it's all about, man. So I appreciate you. And if I could be a representation of something familiar to you like that or whatever, I'm doing my job. Because I was always told, even when I was a young teenager or whatever, that I had an old spirit. You understand? I don't know where that comes from. It just happens. Some of us have that, you know, and I embraced it after I got to be a certain age. And it just so happened, after having many conversations with people in life about what I should be doing. I should be like a speaker or motivational, this and that. And I'm like, some people suggested I should write, you know, books or whatever. And I'm like, okay. But then when I found this, bingo, because this goes out across the world. This goes out across the world.
Yeah.
Huh? There was a time when I couldn't do this, right? It's like we didn't have the internet. Remember, if people put themselves on the internet, they can either put themselves there in proper representation or inappropriate representation. So this right here, I think it's very positive, tremendously positive. Huh? No twerking here.
Agreed.
Huh?
Agreed, brother.
No profanity laced.
Not that agree, brother. That's
here. Huh? This is real deal here. Huh? And if you happen to like the sport of boxing, it's even better, huh?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna get ready to shut
there, Stormy, man.
Huh? What'd you say?
Not to say you be safe out there, Stormy, man.
Yeah.
I say you be safe out there, man. I know how Chicago is. I'm from Chicago, so I know. So you be safe out there, brother, man. And like I said, man, it's all love, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand exactly where you're coming from. I get the same thing. My mom get on me all the time, like, "Boy, you need to use your voice more." But I'm kind of like, oh no. But at the end of the day, man, I appreciate people like you. You know how it is. People in your family or your friends around you, they tell you things, but it's like, I don't know. But at the same time, you know, I appreciate people like you who really take it to the mantle. And all other brothers who are out here doing their thing, you know what I'm saying? I really appreciate you guys because we need a voice. And ultimately, in the end, it's like we don't have a voice the way that we should, especially considering how much we affect not only the economy, but the world. You know what I'm saying? You look at the trends, whether it's rap, whether it's fashion, whether it's anything. We affect the entire world. And people would try to deny that reality, but it's real. So I say the reality that we have that much control over the world, considering that they always want to say that we on the bottom of the totem pole, says a lot about where we should be. Like you said, we should be kings, but we don't even see that within ourselves. But our representation on these medias and, you know what I'm saying, these different voices that we have shows that we're more powerful than we believe we are. And I think that with people like you and people like the LGBT and a lot of other brothers, you know what I'm saying, out here pushing it, I think that it's going to be a lot more people that's going to realize their voice. And ultimately, in the end, we're going to see a change, you know what I'm saying, even if it's slow coming. And I think we just got to, you know what I'm saying, embrace that, you know what I'm saying, not be afraid of it, because in the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, I think that's what it is. I think we're afraid of being what we truly been chosen to be.
Right.
And I think that the media and a lot of the people who are in positions of power are also afraid of that. And that's why we see the shadow banning and we see a lot of things that's happening right now, because they know themselves what we can be, you know?
Yep.
And that's why we have plants within our race and all these different things happening, because they know if we ultimately end up embracing what we meant to be, it's going to be a problem. So that's how I ended on that, bro, man. Like I said, I love you, man.
All right, man. Much love to you as well. And I appreciate you. Like I said, don't be a stranger, man. And we will come back next Sunday. I've been off a couple of Sundays due to being, you know, ill with my pinched nerve and whatnot, but I'm back and I'm ready to go, man, and I'm fired up. And this show in particular has fired me up even more, inspired me with some thoughts I have that I got. When I end the show, I'm going to jot some things down. And like I said, anybody out there that want to contact me can contact me by my email that's in the description box on this video or on any of my content. And you guys, you know, and I don't mind answering the emails. It's, you know, don't have a problem with that. So, but I appreciate you, Al. Bring it back again, and we'll have great conversation in the future, I'm sure. But I thank you for your call, brother.
All right, definitely, bro. You take care of yourself.
All right, you too. Peace.
All right, peace.
Man, that was a great call, a tremendous call. I really appreciate that. The brother really brought some conversation to the table. And that's what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about. Wow. I want to say thanks to everybody that came out today for the show. It's been a tremendous show. We have over 101 likes, you know, out there. That means a lot of people tuned in. I don't know the exact number yet, but as soon as I get off the airwaves, I'll find out. But it was good to see my brother Curtis Anderson out there, a.k.a. Kurt Sugar, a.k.a. the historian, a.k.a. the co-host with Blue Blood, and a.k.a. a member of the Three Wise Men of Boxing. I'm just kind of channeling my Blue Blood right there. So what a great show. You guys really showed some support today, and I can't deny that I'm moved by it. You know, I've been out for a couple of weeks, and it seems like I haven't missed a beat the way you supported today. So it's been a great call-in show. I appreciate everybody, man. And, you know, all I can say is we'll be back next week with another call-in. And we'll be back next week with another call-in. And it'll be the aftermath of Bud Crawford against Showtime Shawn Porter. And who knows what that's going to look like. You know what I mean? But great stuff, man. Great stuff. But I'm going to get on out of here. Went a little bit over my time, but I didn't mind doing it because of the adornment that was shown. So we really appreciate that. Catch you guys on the next one. We up out of here. This has been the call-in show, Answering the Bell with Stormy B-Man for this Sunday morning, November 14th, 2021. Catch you guys on the next one. Peace.